Yo, what's good, y'all? I'm back after forever. Guess what's coming up? The World Championships are coming up. So I decided to bring probably the safest picks to cut the World Championships, if I had to guess. First, we have Joe UX9.
Yo, what's up, man? No, what's up, guys?
You cut the past two Worlds, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did.
that's pretty epic. So he knows quite a lot about Worlds. And Chris is probably the favorite going into seniors, if I had to say with unbiased, completely unbiased. I would. What are your accomplishments?
I won NASC in 22, and then I've top forward I think 3 internationals by now in seniors.
Damn, he can't catch a win.
Just
Regardless,
like me for a throw.
Cannot catch a finals.
anyways, if anyone is gonna make a tier list, bro, it's gonna be these guys. And so the tier list is gonna be strictly based off of the World's meta, game. Like what you think is gonna do good at Worlds. I think the restricted meta has completely changed in the past couple of weeks, to be honest. But in the past couple of months, the entire thing has shifted. So let's make a new tier list. Let's start with Koraidon. Let's just start with Koraidon.
I mean, I think like Koraidon is really solid in terms of like a sunsetter, because like the thing is like Sun in this format is really good for enabling like specifically Raging Bolt, and then on top of that, Koraidon's like really good at like breaking apart like the Fire, Water, Grass cores. Honestly, like Koraidon hasn't had too much usage. I mean, the only real like high level use I've seen of the team recently, given obviously all the meta trends and everything, is Robbie in seniors. He's been using the Venusaur Koraidon stuff a little bit, and it's like it cut VR. I think it got like top 8. So it's a fine archetype. I just feel like it's a little bit limited in its applications. There was also that Goldingo Ogrepon team with like the Sash Cornerstone stuff. So there's a couple different builds for it, but I, as you say, I'm not moved. It's okay. It's not S tier for sure, and I think it would be barely make it into A tier. Maybe I think personally, like I'd probably be putting it like top of B or like bottom of A, just because I feel like it's not like the same as the other restricteds that like where it opens up a lot of team building possibilities. I think it's like very specific ways you have to build around it.
Yeah, like when I consider restricteds, bro. Yeah, I definitely think it's a B tier. I feel like for other, by the way, having all the information about the tours and all that is really, really good. Really good information to have. So that's really good to know. Yeah, Koraidon is doing pretty poor right now in tours. Yeah, it won a regional, right? And it just hasn't been doing very well since, right?
Did it win a regional?
Mikhail their best, right? Oh, he won with Zamazenta.
No, he won with Zamazenta, yeah. So it hasn't won anything, and I mean, it might have won like a Limitless tour or two, but like I feel like anything can win a Limitless tour.
I'm interested to hear what Chris has to say.
I think one thing about Koraidon is I don't think right now it has a lot of good matchups into the good restricteds. So I think into Miraidon, not very good. They generally have Tailwind, and also the fact that they have Pivot as well as Draco Meteor over you puts them, I think, at an advantage in the matchup. I also think Pagos usage is pretty low, and then you do actually beat Shadow Rider, which is pretty good.
You're talking about the restricted matchups. That's a good insight. Yeah. You think Koraidon beats Shadow Rider? Is that true?
Depends on the team for sure, but I think Koraidon teams generally have like they have Chiyu,
good tools.
And the Robbie team has like Venus, so it has a lot of tools that I can use in different matchups.
Where would you put it?
I would also put it in around B tier.
Yeah, I think B is safe, bro. Like it was.
I think like it's top of B for sure, right? Like it has to be top of B because it's not like as bad as like some of the other mid restricteds. I mean, I would even consider putting it bottom of A because like I feel like there's like a very big drop off of like restricteds.
By the way, we can adjust it too. Like my consideration is like I feel like A is the tier, and we're getting maybe a little bit of ourselves. Maybe a tier for Kyogre and that kind of one, which Kyogre is definitely better than Koraidon, I'd say right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think B is good for now, and we can definitely change it. Okay, someone way better, and this dude's little brother, Miraidon.
Oh, this thing's ass, bro. This thing's like it, not only so like it was weird because
I'm just putting it here, bro, because I think we're all gonna say S.
I mean, it went through a phase where like it was like so it won in indie, right? And then it kind of picked up for a bit, and like people were like, oh, like it's okay, but it's kind of fallen off a little bit. It's not like as good as it used to be. But then I think as the Pokemon has been innovated on over and over again, there's just so much potential that Miraidon opens up just because of how strong it is. A really good speed tier, like its damage output is nuts. And like I think the way it's progressed over grassroots and online since NAIC and even in NAIC, right? Like although it might not be like the most appearing of like the big three, quote unquote, I think it's actually still one of the best because it just opens up so many good builds. I think the combination of Miraidon hands like opens up so many team building possibilities that you would like see like really like expand what you can do with the Mon. Like I mean, there's Grimmsnarl, there's Ogerpon Hearthflame. There's like so many different ways you can build it out.
Yep. No, I fully agree. I'm interested to hear what Chris has to say this time first. Though I think you'll agree, right?
I would agree. It's definitely one of the top 3. I would maybe go to say it's the weakest of them, which is why I would say maybe it's top of A tier.
Ooh, that's an interesting take.
I think one thing is you kind of get locked into choice moves, which I think is sometimes a little easy to abuse depending on what tools your opponent has. And also, another issue is just like a lot of random Terra ground stuff kind of pops up on ladder. For example, I guess like Zacian Regidrago teams can be kind of problematic sometimes.
Right.
So I think it's less of the fact that Miraidon itself, but more the fact that it's a little easy to counter sometimes.
I see that.
That's fair. I guess Rilla is everywhere too. So like the reason why I think it would make sense to put it in A is because one of the more popular meta trends, which I guess we'll talk a little bit more about when we get to the horses, is like Rilla plus like extra grass type, or Rilla plus Smeargle is kind of popping up a lot more right now. And that's like one thing that I think Miraidon can really struggle with when it's used properly. Like for example, the team defeated win in the Victory Road tournament, it had Ogerpon Rock and Rillaboom and Raging Bolt and Cali Ice.
Yep.
And like those 4 combined are like can actually be really annoying for a lot of Miraidon teams because you have redirection, you have way to take away the terrain. Cali Ice is just a good mon, and then Raging Bolt can also switch into electric. So there are like definitely ways that you can exploit that. And then the most popular Cali teams right now are utilizing a lot of ways to counter it, right? You see less Terra Fairy now, I think, like Terra Fairy Draining Kiss. It's still around though. But I think the Cali teams all have Rillaboom. A lot of them have Smeargle, which can abuse single target Miraidon stuff. And it usually has Wide Guard anyways. And the Calis are usually bulky and faster than the Miraidon. So
yeah, like I guess that's a very good point. Sorry, my bad for cutting off Chris, but I was just gonna say that I think it's a very good point because as I feel like as y'all can anticipate, the horses will definitely be in the S tier, and when you consider the matchup that Miraidon has into the horses, it's pretty trash for the most part. Like when you consider just generally the teams that they build around, the matchup is pretty trash. So I'm being compelled by Chris's argument too that it could be top of A tier rather than S.
Yeah, I think top of A is pretty good. I wouldn't really disagree with that because I do think the horses kind of stand in a league in their own. It's like weird because I think what Miraidon does well out of the big 3 that the other 2 horses don't is that there's a lot more heat on both of the horses because they're like the most dominant in the format, obviously. That being said though, like I still think Miraidon's drawbacks are like high enough where I could definitely like I think you can justify putting it in top of A for sure.
And do you want to say anything extra, Chris?
I think another thing for a lot of these Miraidon teams is that they're so central around the Miraidon. So you'll have like Fridgiraff plus Whimsicott or Grimmsnarl. And honestly, like if your Miraidon isn't being enabled, then those Pokemon just feel so bad sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty facts. Yeah.
That's for sure true. And like you said with Rilla, bro, like the fact that one Pokemon non-restricted can just shut down your whole team is absurd when it's one of the best Pokemon in the meta right now. Okay, let's talk about Pagos. Well, I honestly, yeah, this is such a weird one, bro. Like it fell off really hard.
It's okay. So I'll put it this way. I think that the biggest Pagos believers are like Europe, and if not Europe, it's Latin America. So like it does kind of make sense that we haven't seen too many. For what it's worth, like the Pagos Screamtail team that cut NAIC, and then there was also Aurelion Sola that got second with the Screens version of it. Like I do think that Pagos at its best can still go pretty far. I think where it's gonna have more issues now in the metagame. So like when NAIC happened, Iron Hands was really good, right? But now I think like Iron Hands is like even better than it was in NAIC, right? And like almost every team has an Urshifu, so there's so many ways to pressure Terapagos right now. Not to mention that like a lot of the slower Pagos teams can get really outpaced by like Psyshock, Nasty Plot, Cali, right? Or like if they get put in front of like really awkward situations with like double fake out, and if you're running Covert Cloak, then you don't have lefties or you don't have a better item, right? So it's definitely a weird mod. I still think it's really good in some applications. Like I think it's really nice for shutting off Kyogre's weather, Miraidon's terrain, Koraidon's weather. There's like a ton of things it does. It's really good in the Cali in a vacuum, right? So in my opinion, I would probably put it maybe a little higher than Koraidon, just because I feel like Terapagos has more applications and more ways to build out a team. I'd even consider putting it in bottom of A because it did get second at NAIC, in my opinion. But
That's actually really cool take. I guess I'll let you talk, Chris, because I was gonna say something completely different at CanCap.
I think it definitely depends on the build. I think if you're gonna bring Terapagos to Worlds, you gotta make sure that the other 5 Pokemon just deal with whatever you play. So what I'm thinking right now is Zamazenta is pretty low, and I think Koraidon is probably about the same as it was at NAIC, but I think it's pretty good for Terapagos. But that being said, I think Pagos is a mon that's pretty easy to counter sometimes. I think Ursh is everywhere. Like, it's fairly easy to just pin Pagos in most situations. You gotta, if you're the Pagos player, you gotta be very proactive with all your turns. Make sure you're calling the Ursh switches. Make sure you're calling the pivots, etc.
Yeah, no, I just fully agree with you. Like I didn't even think about putting it in A. I definitely felt like it was like a B tier mon for sure for me, for the same reasons you guys said. Like I really think, like Joe really brought up Iron Hands. Iron Hands just destroys Pagos. Everything tries, all these monsters start running Earth Power just to beat one Pokemon, which is crazy. And then the other one you talk about, Chris, it was Urshifu, which a Pokemon that outspeeds and in most situations OHKOs, because like it's really not hard to get a little bit of chip for the Terra Shell, and then you OHKO CC. It's just, unfortunately, I think, I don't know, it's weird. Like you guys say that Koraidon has gotten worse and Zamazenta has gotten worse, which I fully agree with, but I think the non-restricted Pokemon just happen to be really, really good and really strong against Pago specifically. Like Hands and Urshifu are just too good right now. I can almost guarantee that they will be in the, I think we all can probably guarantee that they'll be in the top 6. Hands and Urshifu.
I mean, I think that like the one thing though to keep in mind with Pagos is that the reason why it's really popular in Europe specifically is because it's like a very fair Pokemon and there's very low variance with it. I think it's the same with Calyrex Shadow and Calyrex Ice.
Right.
So like right now the way the meta is shifting is that like so even though like yes, Iron Hands and Urshifu usage is up, right? Like Zamazenta usage is probably at like the lowest it's ever been, in my opinion. Like it might have a bit of a resurgence. So like the fact that you're restricted doesn't have its worst restricted matchup in the field as much anymore is something to consider. Not to mention that like I do think although like Pagos has like drawbacks, I think there are like creative ways to build around it. Like I mean in Japan Nats there was the Pagos team with Meteor Beam Rock Polish stuff, right? Like there are different ways you can use the Pokemon between specs like Meteor Beam, Leftovers, and Covert Cloak. And I think that offers like a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can accomplish with them on. Doesn't necessarily mean that I think it'll be like insane, but I wouldn't like underrate it. Like I would expect to see more Pagos than Koraidon in cut, honestly.
Yeah, that's that's definitely true. That's definitely true. Like I definitely think if it's in B tier, it's definitely above Koraidon. I guess bringing up Zamazenta is a really good point. And you know, while we're here, I guess let's just do the shit mons real quick. I have a little game for this. I'm just gonna ask y'all, do you think a single person is gonna bring this restricted? And y'all are gonna say yes or no. They're probably gonna be D tier anyway. I don't want to spend too long. Do you think?
I'll double down on it. I think one player brings Mewtwo and it's from Latin America.
Really? You really think I'll play with Mewtwo?
Yes.
That's actually really.
Yes. Oh, by the way, that thing's like F tier, which I guess you can make D F instead.
Yeah, like I kind of want to add
colors for this tier list are like mad ugly, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
What how should I change them?
Like, bro, it's like all yellow.
Bro, this is the default way. Let me add one. Add a row below.
I think F has to be like gray or something, bro. Like,
yeah. Okay, but I want to do a thing like. A single player brings it versus a single player doesn't bring it, or something like that. Like, is there a way to differentiate that?
Someone brings it and then someone doesn't bring it. Or no one brings it.
One person brings the Swan.
And then like yeah, I don't know. You can put like a skull emoji next to the one where no one.
Oh
no
yeah.
one brings it.
Okay, this is good. Let's change the colors. Make this one. Bro, why are they the opposite? Anyway.
I feel like the brighter the colors are, the higher they should be. But it's fine. It's all right. It's your tier list, so I don't want to.
All right.
No, you're good.
So
You're good.
if one of y'all says they're gonna bring it, I'm gonna put it here. You really think someone's gonna bring Mewtwo?
I think
So.
you know what actually.
Yeah.
I think it's more likely someone brings Lugia than someone brings Mewtwo.
This is true. This is
I
true.
think Lugia Ho-Oh will definitely see play. By at
Okay,
least
so
one
then you know
person.
what? You know what? Yeah. I think Lugia and Ho-Oh are broad, but I think they get more than one play is the thing.
Really?
I can see it.
You know, I think one person brings like something stupid, like maybe
How's
like Rayquaza, maybe like.
Ooh. I could
Like
definitely
Rayquaza
see
is
Ray.
bad, right? I think like one person
Yeah.
brings Rayquaza.
I really like this. This is a fun game. Okay, so do we put Mewtwo with this new information? Do you put Mewtwo?
I don't
think
think. I don't
Mewtwo
think.
is
No.
Skull.
Mewtwo Skull. Mewtwo
Okay,
Skull.
Mewtwo Skull.
Actually,
Mewtwo Skull.
yeah.
Okay,
The more I think about it, like there's actually a lot of shit legendaries around, so like
yeah. Okay, so then Lugia, I'd like to put Lugia in here too. I think Lugia probably like if any of these models are gonna get play, it's probably gonna be Lugia, right?
I think Ho-Oh would get play as well.
Yeah, I think so too. What about you, Chris? You agree with this?
I agree.
All right.
Yeah.
I think I've played Ho-Oh quite a bit in my locals.
You played a Ho-Oh? Oh, you played against
Times,
Ho-Oh?
actually.
Yo, what?
No, against Ho-Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. Let's do all the shitmons. Dialga. Does anyone bring?
Dialga actually, I genuinely feel like is like, I think one person brings it too. Actually, I think you need to get rid of like the D tier, bro, because that D tier is never getting used.
Yeah, this is true. Get rid of these here.
Just delete, bro.
How do I do it? Oh, delete row.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think like one person brings it. Rayquaza, I think is C tier actually, because like low key, Rayquaza is a little bit better than like these guys.
I think Rayquaza actually has some cool. It does some cool stuff right now. Maybe, or maybe I'm lying.
I think you're lying, bro.
I use Rayquaza starter format.
Look, it's pretty good.
Okay. I mean, I definitely wouldn't bring it to Worlds, but
Okay, like
it has potential.
Doesn't it have a really good matchup into Calyrexes?
no. What do you mean, bro?
Shadow.
Lance?
Shadow.
How does it touch Shadow?
You go normal, turn normal. It's like one of the only turn normals. No. It's like one of the only turn normals that does something, bro. Use Dragon Scent.
I think you got a matchup fish with this mod.
Yeah, it doesn't really look like something. I mean, it's great into Koraidon, I'm sure. You know.
All right. So then is it just C? And I think.
Yeah.
It's
there's
so
not much to say about it. It's
so
really bad, dude. Like, Raging Bolt's in the
my
format. Miraidon's in the format. Terra Fairy, Cali.
Yeah.
Calyrex Ice.
It doesn't even beat Kyogre because you get Ice.
Kyogre, yeah. I mean, yeah, literally everything like murders this thing really hard.
Yeah, I think it's just C because it's mid.
In fact, bro, I think it might actually just be at least one person brings this mod.
Nah,
I don't know. Do you agree? Do you think it's
Dialga.
better? You think it's better than Dialga?
Ooh, I think it's better than Dialga.
I wish we had like a way to look at like locals from Latin America because like they don't get as many regionals. Actually, I don't even know what their regionals have looked like. Do you think there's any Rayquaza or anything?
Their regionals have been pretty standard.
Yeah, they're pretty standard.
Yeah, actually, the reason why I'm actually pretty happy with Terapagos, going back to that, in the most recent Latin American regional, like the last one, they had 3 Pagos in top 4. So
that's pretty good. What was the last mon?
So that might be like a resurgence. It was Lima.
No, what was the last mon in top 4?
Oh, it was Calyrexes Shadow.
That's pretty interesting. That's pretty cool actually.
Yeah. So yeah, I actually, now that I think about it too, yeah, I don't know. Ray's really bad, man.
It's really
Ray's so bad.
Okay, but
I
listen,
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think it's better than Lugia and Ho. I actually, if you put a weapon to my head and you were like, bro, like you gotta pick one of these like really bad restricted to take, like I think I would rather have like Lugia or Ho.
Bro, the Dialga.
I'd actually rather have Dialga.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd actually rather have Dialga.
Yeah, this guy's really bad. I don't know how it went from
trash, bro.
Okay, Kyogre. Kyogre is a very good topic because
I think Kyogre is like
tier.
mid A to bottom A. The reason why I think it's mid A to bottom A is because realistically, right? Like what makes Kyogre good is the fact that it has like a bunch of different builds that it works with, right? Like you have the jugular screen stuff, you have like regular screen stuff, the Crystal Rain stuff now that people are using, the Raging Bolt, the Bungasprilla instant stuff. And then you have the Kyogre Tailwind stuff, like the really offensive Electabuzz, Torn stuff. So there's actually a lot of creative ways to build that Kyogre, which I actually give them on a lot of credit for. I feel like all the other archetypes, you have like a bunch of really boring Pokemon on them. And what I like about Miraidon and Kyogre specifically, which is why I think they both deserve to be an A tier, is like you actually get to be kind of creative with the Pokemon you're putting around them to like solve its problems. So for that reason, I actually think like Kyogre's a pretty solid A tier.
Yeah, I think similarly. I think it's A tier for the same reasons. Like I think it's really flexible. Number one, like it doesn't necessarily do anything too insanely well. Like it doesn't do the most ridiculous damage because it's normally being chipped anyway by priority, and it's not the most bulky, but like it just does a balance of quite a few things, and the teams they build around it make it, you know, like you said, with Terra Grass and with screens and Assault Vest and all that, like you just make it like really hard to take out. And
yeah, I mean, it's cool. Like, I think there's like a lot of cool ways. I mean, like if you look at like top 8 NAIC, right? It's like Kyogre, Urshifu, Iron Jugulus, Wo-Chen, Instant Grim. Granted, 4 of those are pretty standard, but those are 2 cool extras. And then you have like Kyogre, Volcarona, Landorus Eye, Overquill, Torn, and Rillaboom. Like some of those are standard, but like they're all weird. And then Marlox's team from Victory Road was like Kyogre, Rillaboom, Electabuzz, Serena, Torn, and Archaludon. Like I feel like every single Kyogre team has like some interesting, like cool, like mons on it, you know. So it's like it's kind of a fun one in this format. I think it's like definitely good.
Any thoughts, Chris?
Something interesting is that Kyogre is very favored into, or not very favored, but I would say Kyogre is favored into the 2 horses.
Yes.
At least in a vacuum, and also typically in past formats when we saw Kyogre, it would kind of be shut down by Sun. But the interesting thing here is that like
Sun is
I think we'd say both Groudon, both Groudon and Koraidon are not the best right now. So there's not that many options to shut down Ogre in terms of weather.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think it's definitely a really cool one. I think there will be some really cool teams with Kyogre. Like Joe said, like the partners you compare with Kyogre are so cool. Like Overquill is actually really cool. Bro, you know, I was playing against the Overquill on ladder and it overkilled my Kyogre. I don't know. I don't even know how that's possible, but it did that.
Was it Terra Poison, Life Orb, Gunk Shot, or something?
Yeah. That's exactly,
bro.
Okay, I'm gonna let Joe talk about this mod because it's his favorite. Where would you put Groudon?
It's my favorite, bro. But I'm not gonna lie, this thing kind of mid right now, bro. Like it's.
Do you think
I think I gotta. It's like, okay, so here's the problem with Groudon, right? So like what Koraidon does really well is individually it's a really strong Pokemon and has a lot of positive matchups in the metagame. And even though all of its moves are single target, it like literally cannot miss, right? Like where Groudon like struggles is like Groudon's not for the faint of heart, right? Like if you just be missing moves, like it really sucks, you know? And I feel like the strategies you have to use with Groudon to make it good also involve like kind of having bad accuracy. So for that reason, like I think it's gotta be like C.
Do you think it's C, or do you think it's a at least one person brings it?
No, I think it's C, because like the thing is like it still has like some things it does well, right? Like I mean, it's a good sunsetter, and like I think like if you have like certain matchups like you're fishing for, like restricted matchups, it's like pretty like it can be pretty good. But it's just the accuracy sucks. There's no reason to really like risk it unless like you have something insane that you're cooking, you know.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
For what it's worth, I think Groudon has seen a little bit of play over in Japan. A lot more than it has over
like when,
here
though?
in the West.
Like really? I actually play in Japan.
Yeah, I was just asking like when.
Wait, it's,
I'm pretty sure it's popped up a little bit on ladder, Groudon. And then I think I saw a couple using it in like the top 50 rank battles last season. I could be wrong though.
That's cool.
There was one Groudon at Japan Nats that got 17th. It was Kengo Harada, and he was using Groudon, Roaring Moon, Entei, Flutter Mane, Bronzong, and Raging Bolt.
That's so heat, bro.
It's just like Sun Abusers.
It's a little interesting, yeah.
No, that's fire.
I mean,
I think it's a C tier mod. I think it's
it's C tier. Like it's like
Yeah.
look, I would rather have a Groudon over like a Lugia, Ho, Dialga, Rayquaza. By the way, I don't know. I feel like Dialga might be better than like Lugia, low-key, but I think more people would use Lugia, so probably just fine where it is.
Bro, it's actually not that bad. I just think it's pretty bad.
Yeah, but there's no reason to use it though. You know. That's
yeah. I guess you want to put it above Ho-Oh?
Nah. I'd keep it where it is. I was just.
And little Dialga's Dookie, right? This guy's,
yeah, unfortunately, it's just
Palkia Horsey.
Origin form Palkia Horsey is at least one person, I think. Like,
really?
It's not like, okay, like here's the thing: Palkia Horsey is better than regular Palkia because the thing is, regular Palkia doesn't even do anything good right now. You know, like
bro, I probably put this thing at the top of Skull, bro. Like this thing is also.
But would I rather have like I like when I do the tier list? I guess the way I think of it is like, would I rather have this or this version of it? And like, I would much rather have the Horsey form. Also, like, I could see one person bringing it. I do not see one person bringing.
All right, that's a fair way to put it. Yeah. I guess we just do this. Behind Rayquaza.
Maybe just say not at least one person. Just say one person. Like I think at least is a little generous for these guys. You know.
At least.
Yeah.
All right.
What do we think about Giratina?
I think one person brings it for sure.
You actually think so?
One person brings it. Yeah, 100%.
All lines.
Where'd I put it?
Calm Mind Hex, Dragon Pulse. You know? No, I'm just kidding.
Where I put it behind them?
I think okay. So the only set I actually see Giratina doing well with, which like don't get me wrong, this is like very generous because I think Giratina is still horribly bad.
Yeah.
Like the Poltergeist Shadow Sneak set, with like some dragon coverage next to Ow, I think maybe. Because like the thing is what Giratina actually does well, the Fire Water Grass core of Rillaboom, Incin, and Urshifu, like Urshifu really can't even touch like Origin form at all. Like they literally cannot even hit it for any damage. So like while I think it's still really bad,
wait,
I mean,
how does Incin not hit it? Oh, Rillaboom.
Like like Incin can hit it, but like more so like if you have like partners next to it, like you don't.
Oh, and you don't get knocked off for full damage, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
But I think regular Giratina is like definitely in the Skull tier.
Skull tier. Any thoughts, Chris, on any of the Giratinas? You think?
No.
Yeah, they're all pretty. This guy.
I think if Chris had his way, maybe Origin form Giratina would be in Skull as well.
Reshiram?
Also one person. I think one person.
You think someone's gonna bring it?
I'm telling you, at Worlds, bro, people like they go crazy. Like, okay, like to put it in context, right? If this were a smaller world, I would say like no one brings it. But like, there's 1,000 players almost at Worlds.
Wait, is this true? There's 1,000 players?
Like, no, not what. It's like close. We're like 800 or 900 or something.
That's actually crazy.
Like, it's a huge Worlds, right? So like, if you're statistically thinking about it, in like an international, you would expect to see like one of almost all of these restricteds, right?
I guess you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So in theory, like the only ones I could really see like no one bringing are like the really dookie ones, you know?
Yeah.
So like
the ones that also have a better form are really bad.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, most people aren't gonna sack their Worlds run, but like you really don't think like one person who
that's actually crazy saying it's a sack
or something won't bring Rushy, you know?
It's a world sack if you bring these mods. That's crazy. That's what I'm gonna call this, world sack. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
World sack.
Worlds sacking worlds or something. Yeah, it's like something like that.
Mons.
It's too accurate, bro.
Too sack. All right. Or should I do one person brings it? How do you even name this tier? Okay, this tier has to have a good name. Someone's gonna bring it. Maybe. Okay, perfect. Zekrom. I think this is actually.
This is just Miraidon, but worse. Like.
Oh yeah, that's actually. I forgot they're the same guy. They're both dragons and electric.
Yeah, I mean.
Where's Joe?
Honestly, I think he belongs in Skull.
I think he's Skull. Actually, bro, if you put Giratina up here, I think one dude's.
Okay. So let's think about this, right? I think Zekrom is better than Giratina because Zekrom can run Clam.
Yeah.
And Reshiram's a special attacker. Like Giratina's got to be the bottom tier of like bottom tiers, I think.
Yeah.
Same for Kyurem-White. Like at least you could run Clam, maybe.
Wait, no.
Actually,
Kyurem-White, I would.
Sorry, Kyurem-Black. I meant Kyurem-Black.
Kyurem-Black. I'll put it up.
Is it better than Zekrom, Loki?
I think so.
I feel like it actually is better.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, but what about
It's better than Reshiram, and it's better than Palkia Horsey.
I would
Kyurem-White.
say C tier.
Kyurem-White S tier easily.
Asterisk.
No,
Is
it's
it,
definitely like bottom of C, I think.
is it above? Is it above Groudon?
No.
Bro,
no,
bro,
no, definitely not above
Bro,
Groudon, bro. Are you
bro.
crazy?
Actually, it might be really good right now. Think about the meta, bro.
No.
Think about the meta.
No, I don't really see it. I'm not gonna lie to
I'm
you, my
gonna
brother.
little Kyurem is
Little
dookie.
Kyurem is his skull.
Yeah, Cosmog.
Cosmog,
Cosmo.
Yep. Cosmo skull. Solgaleo, like one person maybe.
I don't think anyone's gonna break this guy.
I think it's
Ye-
worse than.
I've never.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever seen this guy on ladder? No, no one plays this guy.
Yeah, I've never seen it. No, I've seen one Solg because they so it's a really dumb strategy. It's Solg Doug Trio.
Spectrio. Oh wait,
and
what?
it's like arena trap, so they trap you in with the Solg and they bulldoze, and because it's full metal body or whatever,
Yeah.
it doesn't get the drop, and you give it weakness policy, and then you can just like spam a non-intimidatable like weakness policy mon. That being said, it's not like that amazing, but like it's like something, you know.
Doesn't Spectrio do the same thing, like but cooler, and has wisp and all that?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, bro, but like if you're running
Okay.
Solg already, like you're kind of
Yeah,
already
okay.
like digging in the dumps, you know, like.
Well, where does it go? Like above?
I mean, okay, would you like? I'll put it this way, right? Would you rather have a Solgaleo or a Zekrom?
Definitely the Solgaleo. That's what I was thinking.
Okay, like
definitely.
what would you rather? Like you kind of put it wherever you think you'd rather have like a Solgaleo over like this Pokemon.
Okay,
And like honestly, I'd even take it over like I think Kyurem and Reshiram maybe.
that's fair. Yeah. What do you think, Chris? Is that?
Actually, I'd take it over Horsey too.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is good actually. And then Lunala. This is a really interesting one.
Okay, Lunala is actually good in my opinion. There was this one Japanese team that actually like really stuck out to me. That I actually think is really good. It was a team that did really well in Japan Nats. It was what is it? Yeah, it had Reflect Umbreon. It was triple dark.
Oh.
So it was Jugulus,
really cool.
Umbreon, and Chiyu. And it had Urshifu, Rillaboom, and Lunala. It was Calm Mind Lunala with Moonblast, Moonguy stuff.
Yes, I've seen this. Yes,
And
that's
it had
really
like
cool.
Rain Dance Jugulus. I actually thought that team, in my opinion, was like super creative. And I think like a team like that, like I actually think the core of like Reflect Umbreon with Toxic plus like a really stally Lunala and like Urshifu Rillaboom is really cool. Not to mention like there are just other ways you can build out Lunala. Like we've seen like a lot of like different ways, but I think the Calm Mind set is the best one by far. I would actually think it's like bottom of B, probably below Koraidon, but I actually think it's really good. Like it's okay. Sorry, I should rephrase. It's a really good B tier mon. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not like not in B tier. You know?
I have a hot take. I think Lunala will cut Worlds this year,
Ooh.
and that's exclusively for the reason that UB Slow has been using it recently with like Clefairy and like a balance
That's
mode.
really cool.
And I think I don't understand it personally, but I think it's a very interesting idea, and I would not be surprised if UB Slow cut Worlds with that team.
Yeah, I think other than the fact that now this is okay. If I had to disclude UB Slow, bro, I don't think this mon is gonna do very well because it's kind of duking it. And I think people will try with the bear and try to do the crest bear thing again, and with the wide guard, I think it's just too dooky. And like, I like Joe said, it's kind of best probably left for Calm Mind and all that. And I think I agree that I would not take Lunala over the other two B tiers. I think it's solid where it is, like Joe said, but like, it's definitely not better than anything above it. Like not even close, I would say.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
totally
like,
agree.
I think Terra Fairy, like, okay, so let's say, right, you're a Miraidon player, right? Like, the last thing you want to play versus is like a Calm Mind Terra Fairy Lunala with Rillaboom next to it, and like other mons. And like, if you're playing Kyogre, like, it's probably still annoying for you, right? If you're playing like Pagos, it's probably like fine, but it's neutral because like you can't really touch until you Starstorm, right? Koraidon doesn't really like to be in front of a Lunala, right? So then like you're narrowing down the mons that like to be in front of Lunala to like Calyrex Shadow, and like Cali Ice doesn't really like being in front of it either. So like where the way you deal with Lunala is like in a vacuum through like the partners a lot of the time. But like if you think about it, if instant usage is dropping, like why is Lunala not good?
I guess that's a really good explanation. Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it should be like higher than Koraidon or Terapagos. I'm just saying like I genuinely think it is not like as bad as people think it is. And I think like because we have so many people at this worlds, and because I think Japan specifically is like really good at like innovating on like these kind of concepts. And like I could definitely see that person who brought like the Jugulus, Umbreon, and Chi-Yu team, like using that kind of team again and like innovating on it and doing well, because I actually think it's a cool concept.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting Lunala. Like it's pretty epic, but it's kind of mid at the same time.
Yeah.
Solgaleo is anyone bringing
NDM? NDM's actually a little bit used on ladder. I put it in like C. I put bottom of C.
Really?
Yeah, so I'll explain why.
Actually,
basically like
right.
where it's really annoying. So like all these NDM teams, don't get me wrong, really cheesy. But the one thing it does really well, right, is if you run it next to Fur Draft gets bulldoze, and they'd be like bulldozing next to the weakness policy. And then you have like Terrifier, Terra Blast, Photon Geyser, which can attack specially or defensively, or like, sorry, yeah, it can attack you on your special side or your defensive side, depending on which is stronger. And then Sunsteel Strike, and like those 3 coverage, I don't think anything can resist it. So it's like, it's not like amazing, but like it exists, you know? So it's like, like, again, it goes back to that thing. Like I would probably rather have an NDM over like any of the ones in the one Mon, or like someone's gonna bring it maybe tier.
That's a good point. Yeah, Chris, you want to say anything?
No, I don't have many thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't have any thoughts on it either. Like, I guess
am I making like bad Mon sound good? Like, I'm kind of worried about this. Like,
you are making it sound good, but like, it's kind of dookie still. Like, I kind of see why I kind of see why you use it over anything below it. Everything below is like really bad. But across those it's actually probably usable if you make a cheesy team around it, like some Spectre thing. Like that too, so something like that.
Yeah. Also, like it could farm like some restricted matchups. Like I think like, for example, like Pagos kind of gets hard walled by it, right? And then like Photon Geyser like shreds Kyogre. Koraidon doesn't appreciate Photon Geyser in Trick Room, especially if you're Terrifier. Like Miraidon is like kind of neutral if you have Rillaboom, and then like against you know, Cali Ice, like I don't really see how Cali Ice beats NDM, but yeah, like that's kind of like, besides Intimidate spamming maybe, but most of them are dropping that, right? So
yeah,
kind of like I think Cali Shadow wrecks it though, for what it's worth. So
yeah, and another one that gets wrecked by Calyrexes Shadow. Do you think Dawn Wings does good? Did you think?
I think Dawn Wings is better than NDM in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that's fair to me too. Yeah.
Okay, I guess the question though to ask is, would you rather have a Kyurem-White or a NDM? Or not NDM, sorry. Would you rather have a Necrozma Dawn Wings or a Kyurem?
Like I think they're both super niche. Like one has to run Psychic Tree, the other has to run Snow. So I think when you put that like that, like I think Dawn Wings might be a little bit better.
Yeah, because Hard Trigger is like an actual archetype.
Yeah.
Dawn Wings saw some usage in Japan Nats, for what I wonder.
Oh yeah, right. It got top 4. It got top 4.
Oh yeah. It ended up getting 5th
with Lilligant. Oh,
or,
5th.
Yeah, like it like. Well, technically 5th, but it could be 5th or 6th. But yeah, it was like hard Trick Room stuff. So actually, you know, that being considered, like, yeah, I would probably take NDM over. Like, I wouldn't take it over Groudon, I don't think. Although it did better than Groudon at Japan Nats. But I think definitely I'd take it above Kyurem if I had to, because Kyurem's very dependent on Snow, and Snow in like a very Torn heavy, Pelipper heavy metagame is like kind of annoying.
Yeah, Manual Weather is also really common. So I agree. Yeah. I'm gonna just put regular guy.
Yeah, he's bad.
He's really bad.
Bro sucks.
Okay, Zacian.
Yeah.
Zacian. Very
Zacian, I actually think, in my opinion, Zacian's A tier. And the reason why I think it's A tier is because right now you have a perfect situation for this Mon, right? The Calyrex teams are dropping Ensign. The Cali Ice teams are dropping Ensign. Zacian, I mean, the build you saw Keen Campbell use with Umbreon's really strong. A lot of Japanese players were playing it, and on top of that, around Japan Nats time, Kinugawa got I think #1 on ladder with like Zacian, Pelipper, Dragonite, Chien-Pao, Urshifu, and Rillaboom on ladder, like the actual rank battles ladder. So like I actually think like I could see a couple Japanese players using it, and then of course you have that Zacian, Regidrago, Chi-Yu team running around. So I actually think that Zacian is like not bad. I actually think it has a lot of potential applications, and I think due to the lack of Incineroar that we're seeing now, plus like the fact that like Zamazenta's kind of like gotten worse, it's actually like a lot better, and like it's really good into the horse like Cali Shadow without redirection, and it's really good into Miraidon without redirection. Then Cali as it needs some help with, but like, and it's also good into Kyogre. So I actually would put it like, I think I'd put it like below Kyogre, but I'd still put it like A is like very respectable. I think.
Yeah.
I would respect it more than I would respect Pagos.
No,
in my opinion.
I agree with A. And what about you, Chris? You think A is
I
gonna
think
be?
Joe hit a lot of good points. I definitely agree with A tier actually.
Yeah,
Joe kind
no.
of convinced me.
No, I think A tier is good too. I think for all the reasons he said. Like I think the other thing people don't talk about is we literally have 0 good fairy types with the exception of Fluttermane and Zacian. So actually having a good fairy type that doesn't go to Terra into the fairy type is kind of really strong. Alongside again, the best typing in the game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I think it's good. I think A tier is really safe.
Yeah. I mean, considering we just talked about some of the best ones in the format now, right? Grimmsnarl, Iron Hands, Urshifu, Raging Bolt, like all of those mons just get absolutely obliterated by Play Rough,
Yeah, no, yeah, Terra Play Rough is one of the strongest attacks right now.
Attacks in the
probably,
game,
probably
yeah.
in the probably the strongest.
You just gotta hit it, right?
Yeah. Not 90% of the time, it's really really strong.
Yeah.
Do you think anyone brings the Clamzation stuff, or is this just
No shot?
Yeah, I think it's pretty dookie.
That's so bad.
I'll put it. Actually, it's probably the top of Skull.
Yeah.
Okay, Zamazenta.
I would rather have a Clamzation than like have a Dialga for sure.
Zamazenta.
Okay, so I think it's
above
B.
Lunala.
Do you
Really?
think?
Okay,
Okay,
so
so Chris, to put it in the context of why I don't think it should be above Lunala, of course, like if you guys disagree, that's perfectly fine.
Mhm.
So like Japan Nats, there was basically no Zamazenta used for what it's worth, like literally like almost none in the top performing teams. And then in the Victory Road tournament, there was like not a single Zamazenta in the top 39, which was all the people who made the day 2 in it. And then at NAIC, the first Zamazenta we saw was in top 32, used by Michael Zhang and then Blake Silver after that. So for context, that means that like out of all the most recent like big tournaments before Worlds, it literally only has like 2 big placements. So like granted, Lunala didn't really do that much better, but like I guess due to its historical past, maybe Zama gets like the edge on Luna a little bit. But like I think where it falls apart a little bit is like there's just like it's just kind of too fair in my opinion. I guess Lunala maybe suffers from the same thing, but I think Zama's just really fair,
I'm interested to hear what Chris has to say because you've worked with a lot of people who have worked with Zamazenta, right?
Yeah, I actually brought it to NIC.
You did? Okay. That's what I thought.
And the way I felt like into every single matchup, it was losing. Which is why I don't think Zamazenta is the best mon right now. But that being said, I would not be surprised if it outperformed Lunala.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think like there are definitely a lot of Lunala teams that are probably flying under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see Joe's point about Lunala being better than Zamazenta in the end.
I think that's like really close between Zamazenta and Lunala, but I think regardless of where you put it, I think B tier is definitely correct. I don't think it ever touches C tier. But like you guys said, like the matchups are always just a little bit in your opponent's favor because the mon is so fair. Like it just loses to a good time Terra Ghost, or it loses to that type of stuff, right? And yeah, I think it's way better than Groudon, but it's way worse than anything above it. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's okay to put it above Lunala because the thing is like it did win in Stockholm, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it does have like historical precedent as opposed to Lunala only really having the Japan Nats performance. So for that reason, I think it's very fair to like put it where it is.
I think Zamazenta, this guy's really bad. Okay, this is a cool mon. Do you think Eternatus is good? Like, how good do you think Eternatus is?
This guy's a C tier jobber, bro.
C tier job. Where do you put it in C tier?
So I would
have it above Kyurem for sure. I'd take it above Kyurem.
Yeah.
I would maybe even take it above Dawnwings. I mean,
I think Dawnwings might be better. I think Dawnwings is better.
I think Dawnwings is better. I do think Dawnwings is better. Yeah.
What about Chris?
The one interesting thing about Eternatus is it kind of punishes, maybe not Miraidon, but it punishes the Calys and Terapagos just because of its ability pressure, where like if you're not making sure that all your attacks are
hitting
getting
the
value
targets
it wants, you might just run out of
that's
PP
actually a really cool
turns.
point actually.
Mm-hmm. I would say like Eternatus. Okay, so the biggest problem with Eternatus, right? So I actually think it's insane right now, considering like every single team has Raging Bolt, Rillaboom, Urshifu, right?
Yeah.
Like, so in theory, this mon should be insane, right? And like pressure like every single team. And then next to Rillaboom, it should be like a menace for Miraidon to deal with, right? But like in practice,
Yeah,
like
in practice.
it's actually really hard to navigate into those situations where you win like that. On top of that too, it's like it's one of those mons where like maybe if the format had a full year to flesh itself out, I could definitely see like a good Eternatus team being made. But I think because of the time frame of like worlds and like how far it is away, like I don't see someone coming up with the concept good enough for this mon to put it in any higher tier than like C. And I think like the Necrozma Dawnwings teams are like at least a little more developed, so like for that reason, like I would definitely see it doing better than like Eternatus. Right?
I definitely agree. I just think it's very hard to find a winning formula with Eternatus. It's just such a, I don't know, it's a weird mod. I hate its typing too. It's just so bad in this format. I think nobody fact check that.
Yeah.
As you
Finally,
said, I'm not moved.
Finally, the greatest mods ever created.
But which one's
Horse
better?
one and
This
horse
is the
two.
question.
Yes, who's better? Who?
Okay,
We're gonna do a
So-
vote. We're gonna do a vote, and no one's because this has got to be like no convincing. Does that make sense? Like no
I think two interesting questions.
bruh. I was gonna say
One,
I gotta say we gotta answer.
hold.
I was gonna say we gotta answer first. You gotta vote on this first, and then we talk.
Okay, you vote first then. You vote first.
All right.
Okay.
But y'all gotta close your eyes, because otherwise we'll know.
Well, okay, no,
Wait,
just say it.
what?
Just say it, because we all gotta say it.
Okay, fine. I'll put Shadow, at S. I'm up at the
Okay,
highest.
Chris, what do you think?
No, bro. You gotta
think-
say what your heart knows, bro.
Okay. I think Shadow Rider is better than Cali Ice.
Okay.
That's interesting. I think I would have said probably Cali Ice.
Interesting.
And do you want me to explain why I think it's Cali Ice now that we've locked in our choice anyways?
Absolutely not, because you are wrong and you lost the vote.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Now you can explain.
Yeah, I mean, I think like, okay, so here's the thing with Cali Ice, right? Versus Cali Shadow. Cali Shadow has to be run a specific way, right? Like you need certain partners on the Cali Shadow teams to like make it work. So like, although I do think that like Cali Shadow teams across the board lead to a little more consistency among top players, I think the way you can build out Cali Ice has like a bit more unique things, right? So like, for example, in Japan, at Japan Nats, like AV Cali Ice was really popular,
AV Crunch.
right? Which was like, yeah, that's something different, right? Like that is a unique trend that might carry over into Worlds, right? Or like the Electabuzz team that got top 16 at NAIC, right? With the Final Gambit and Annihilate. And then you have the standard balance Cali Ice teams that are using so many different mons. I mean, if you look at Victory Road and you look at like all the Cali Ice teams, you have like the Ogerpon Rillaboom team, like win. And then if you look at like the other Cali Ice teams that performed well, it was the Electabuzz build. And then there was even one with like Smeargle and the same 6 you'd usually have with Cali Shadow. And I feel like the one thing that Cali Ice has over Calyrex Shadow is although Calyrex Shadow has more usage, which therefore reflects in like Cut having a lot of them, I feel like Cali Ice has less usage, but it just carries over better just because it's like a stronger Pokemon into a lot of the metagame. Like ice coverage, a good ice type is like unheard of besides Calyrex, right? So like it's something it does very uniquely, whereas with Cali Shadow, like there might be a little bit of overlap with certain Pokemon, which I think makes Cali Ice a little bit better because it just does what it does so well. And on top of that, it has speed control to the metagame.
Well, okay, Chris. Before you answer, did
Okay.
he change your mind at all, or do you still think Shadow's better?
I still think Shadow is better.
Okay, good.
unfortunately.
I like that. You stuck to your beliefs, and now I want to hear why.
I think to start with Shadow Rider, I think it has a higher skill ceiling than Ace Rider. Sorry. I think with a Shadow Rider team, like if you get 1 or 2 turns correct early game, you'll basically always win, and I don't think that's the case for Ice Rider. On top of that, I also think Cali Shadow has a lot of different ways it can go into Worlds. I think the partners are very unique. So it has like Smeargle, it has Clef, and it has, I guess, Amoonguss sometimes. And with these teams, you can kind of tech for different matchups. So some of them are going like Calm Mind right now to try to be, I guess, Miraidon stuff. And then a big trend that's been happening is like Terra Normal Cali Shadow to try to beat the mirror. And I think just in general, it has a lot higher of a skill ceiling, because if you kind of watch Edie's plays at NAIC, I think especially in top 4, but also in top 8, all of his turns, he was kind of making micro reads and just getting them right, and it kind of seemed like he was winning so dominantly because of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. I just gonna say I'm short. Like, I just think I agree with you for the same reasons. I think Cali Shadow is just. I guess it's when you say you get a couple of turns right and you win the game. That's actually a really good point, because there are. It feels like in this format, in many games, you can get many turns correct, but your opponent gets one really strong turn, or you miss one really crucial, like you know, I don't know the way to put it. Like your opponent, basically he gets you, bro. That's all I can say. He just catches you lacking. It can feel really easy to turn the entire game around. Whereas Calyrexes Shadow, it's like, you know, get a couple turns right, and you'll be rewarded because you are also running the strongest Pokemon in the game. Like, its partners are always Incineroar, Rillaboom, Urshifu, Amoonguss, Smeargle, like the strongest Pokemon in the game. Just happen to be really good with Calyrexes Shadow. So I think, like you said, like the skill ceiling is really high, and I don't actually agree with Joe when he said like the mons Calyrexes has to run are very like decided already. Like they're pre-planned. Like, I don't think that's true. I think you can run so many mons with Shadow especially.
I think I mean, I guess to build on that point, right? Like, I feel like I could name like the top 10 mons it's used with, right? Urshifu, Raging Bolt, Rillaboom, Incin, Clefairy, Hearthflame, Mienshao, Tornadus, Amoonguss, and did I miss any of the big like mons? Smeargle. Pretty much that. Like, you cycle between those. Whereas, like, when we were talking about like uniqueness of Cali Ice teams, right? Like, of course, you know, you have a lot of overlap there, but typically you'll see like Pelipper as well, like added on. You'll see on the Cali Ice team some like random stuff like Magmar, sometimes Ursaluna. You know, like, granted, like you could just say like, oh, it's just a different slew of mons, but I feel like the mons that are used on Cali Ice technically can be like used to catch people off guard a little bit more sometimes than like something that you would use on a Cali Shadow team, right? That being said, there are some unique partners that you can pick, and I don't think it's necessarily like a good quantitative statement to say something is good based on how many unique partners it can have next to it, right? So like, I do agree on one thing, which is that like I do think if you get the ball rolling with Calyrex faster, it can definitely run through games. You get a good plot up, right? You get a good Astral Barrage off, get a ton of damage. Like, you could just win a game on the spot off of that. The thing is though, is like once you hit the higher level, it is harder to navigate those situations. Whereas I feel like with Calyrex, the Calyrex Ice, because it's such a bulky Pokemon that isn't frail, it's very low risk return to just spam Glacial Lance like 8 turns in a row, you know, and like just keep spamming damage on them. But yeah.
Damn, that was deep. But yeah, we did all the mons, right? That's everything.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a professional yapper. My fault.
Professional yapper is crazy. But do you think there's anything we got to change? Do you disagree with any of the replacements?
I genuinely think, I mean, you can't really justify this, but I think Zacian's going to do really well at Worlds, actually.
To be fair, it's a world's tier list, so if you think it's going to do good, we can put it higher. Because I was willing to put it above Ogre. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I really think it's like super good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the matchups it pulls right now is like really strong for it, but better than Kyogre is like being really generous to Zacian, you know?
I guess that's fair.
I'm between it. I would say I wouldn't be mad either way, but I would probably put it lower than Kyogre, just because I think on one thing that I've learned from doing previous tier lists is just like sometimes I get a little overhyped on like the new sauce. So like, I feel like Zacian might actually just be lower than Kyogre off of consistency.
You decide, Chris. You're the tiebreaker.
I think Kyogre right now is a little bit more consistent than Zacian.
Perfect. All right.
I thought he said a little mid. I was like, damn, bro.
That's cool though. Zacian makes top 5.
I have a good question for you guys.
Yeah.
Which of these mons do you think will win Worlds, and which do you think will have the highest usage?
Ooh.
Bro, highest usage gotta be Ice, I think.
No, highest usage, Cali Shadow for sure.
I think Shadow Rider will be high.
Actually,
I would,
yeah, well, you're
I
right,
would
Shadow.
bet my soul that it's Cali Shadow.
Actually, you're definitely right. It's definitely Shadow.
Now for
wins?
which one's gonna win?
I think Shadow Rider. I think a good like Shadow Rider balance player who's been using this Maw in all format will show up and they will just smoke everyone. They'll smoke everyone in the mirror. That's my take.
You know what? I love my boy Groudon, so I hope someone proves the haters wrong. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep,
I
would
love Groudon.
love to hear that, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put all my money on black and say Kyler Shadow because it's just the Gizzler. It's just the GOAT. I don't know how you can't pick Kyler Shadow as the winner because it's, if you think about the usage, right? 30% is pretty like safe to say, right? I think.
I think it's gonna be 29.5%.
20, whatever it is, around that area. That's really high because you have the best person in the world, bro, playing the most busted mon. Anyways, that's a tier list. How long was this? Like 15 minutes?
It was pretty long. Oh, funny fact actually, because I was curious after I said that exact number. You wanna guess what the Calyrex shadow usage was in VR?
How much?
29.6. So I was literally
Oh my God,
1%, like
that's actually
0.1% off of the number.
That's actually really crazy.
But yeah,
No, I think this is pretty safe. I like this tier list. If it was up to me, I'll make it like this. So yeah. Anyways, I hope y'all catch Joe and Chris's Worlds run, not mine, of course, because Anyways, see y'all.
yo, my fault. Were you talking to me?
Yeah, no, yes, I was, bro.
Oh, my fault.
I was waiting for you to talk.
I like zoned out for a second, bro.
I couldn't tell you there.
No, I'm just kidding. I did not. I did not talk to you.
Anyways, yo, thank you for having me on, buddy. It was fun. We'll
Yeah,
come back
thank
to
you
the
so much.
predictions and see how it goes.
Yeah. I hope we're really wrong.
All right. Well, peace, guys. I guess.
Yeah, see ya.
Yo, Joe, I have a joke.
Yeah.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Wait, you have to say knock knock. Wait.
Oh, knock knock.
Who's there?
Joe UX9.
It's my joke.
What? Okay.
Anyway,
All right.
see ya.
Okay, well, guys.